Welcome one and all, Nyanko here, and today I'm here to talk about a lovely little show that I watched on Netflix called Kotaro Lives Alone. So, as you can kind of gather, the series is about a little boy called Kotaro, who unfortunately, due to family circumstances, now lives on his own in this very rundown, derelict little apartment building. And it's so sweet. So yeah, basically, Kotaro moves in, and then he kind of becomes friends with his neighbour, Shin, who is a mangaka who kind of just lives off of the prize of his, so he does one-shots and enters them into competitions, and he lives off the prize money that he gets from that kind of thing. You've also got Isamu, who is a Yakuza or an ex-Yakuza who lives in the building, who kind of dotes on Kotaro and uses him as a surrogate son because he has troubles with his mother, the mother of his son kind of thing, and family issues like that. Then there's Miyuki, who is a hostess at a club, and she also becomes very motherly to Kotaro, and so on and so forth. So basically he moves into this apartment complex and he becomes friends with all the tenants, and it's about daily life, and oh my god, it's so heartwarming, but it's also kind of really sad as well because Kotaro is only 4 or 5, and he's here living on his own because his mum has disappeared, or he believes his mum has disappeared, and his dad seems to be quite abusive, and he got ran out of his orphanage because his dad was banging on the door being give me my son kind of thing, and he has a restraining order against him. So yeah, you don't know all of this in the beginning. You just kind of know that there's this little kid who's a bit odd, who's living in the last house on the row, and he goes around and introduces himself and hands everyone a welcoming present of a pack of tissues. He's hi, I'm your new neighbour. Hi, I'm your new neighbour. And it just goes on like this. So Kotaro has to bath himself every day because of things to do with his family life, and so he keeps going down to the local onsen, the bathhouse, and Shin starts going with him and gets really worried because there's been a string of kidnappings in the area. So it's no, Kotaro, you can't go alone. And then Miyuki also starts doing the same thing, and she lets him bath in her apartment because she's the only one who's got a shower or something in her apartment. The rest of them don't because it's so cheap. And yeah, they go about daily life. Kotaro goes to kindergarten or preschool if you're not in America, and on his first day he is all secretive and he takes himself off, and the others are oh my gosh, how didn't we think of this? And so even though he doesn't have a family in that sense, he gets another family through his living arrangements. And then the more that the adults learn about Kotaro, the more that they want to surround him in hugs and keep him safe, which it's such a good show. So yeah, that's basically the premise of the show. Is little boy moves into an apartment complex by himself. Everyone in the apartment complex starts kind of rallying around him, and Kotaro changes their lives and they change Kotaro's lives. It's on Netflix. It's 12 episodes long, but there is a second season apparently coming. I need to double check if and when it is coming, because I can't wait. I love it. I watched it a while ago, but I kind of saw Kotaro Lives Alone pop up in the Crunchyroll Awards, so I was oh, I need to go rewatch that, and I did, and I was oh my god, it's still as good as it was. But it's really interesting to me because in England and in Ireland and even in America, you wouldn't let a 4 or 5-year-old live alone. They'd be either given to another family member or they'd be put into the system. Now it seems to be that Kotaro was in the system, but because of the harassment from his biological father, the lawyers and Kotaro decided it was safer for him to live on his own somewhere safe, away, that his father wouldn't find him. And in one of the episodes, his dad does hire a private investigator, but I'm not going to give too many spoilers in case you do want to go and actually watch the show. But the dub acting is stellar. The Japanese voice cast is amazing as well. It's a really heartwarming show that also makes you sad, but not in a kind of oh my gosh kind of way, but in a oh my goodness, at least he's doing better now and he has a better life. But it is quite sad in places, because you're like, this poor little kid, nobody, like up until this point, nobody in his life has really shown him love. So he doesn't really understand it when like Shin and Miyuki and Isamu start like trying to dote on him, because he's never received that before. Like, you learn more about his mum being very like emotionally distant and not really interacting with him very much. The dad was almost never there from what we see in the background, and it's really sad. And like Shin in that sense steps into the father role, but not just the father role, but like a big brother role as well. And it's really nice to see like the sense of community that comes out of it, and just how like technically they could have all gone, he's not my problem, I don't need to bother with him, just leave him to his own devices. But they're like, oh, hang on a second, this poor kid, he shouldn't be on his own. And so in that sense he's never really alone. And it's just, it's such a sweet story, and I fell in love within like the first 30 seconds of the show. Kotaro kind of talks really weirdly and old-fashionedy, because he taught himself really to talk through watching like a favourite TV programme. And now we've all known little kids who watch like their favourite show and they start using, you know, their favourite like lines from the show, or they start trying to imitate the favourite actor and stuff like that, and it's just really cute. You know, it's got a good pace, a lot of story development happens, there's character development. I'd say the only downside for me was the fact that I wanted to hunt down his father and throttle him and be like, how could you hurt this little child? He is so precious. He is my sweet bean. So yeah, for me, I'd say actually out of 2022, one of my favourite animes to come out of 2022 was Kotaro Lives Alone, just from the feel-good factor. I might do a list actually of my favourites of 2022, but I mean, we probably already know them considering all of the videos I did about my shows that I was watching. But anyway, yeah, like I said, it's on Netflix. If you know someone with Netflix, barge around their house, go watch it. If you don't have Netflix, cheap enough to sign up for a month just to watch this one show. I wish I was sponsored. I am not. I'm just like a huge fan of certain shows, and the fact that I think anime on Crunchyroll is like exalted because it's an anime channel, but then anime that's on Netflix is kind of frowned upon and poo-pooed and being like, ugh, it's not good. But like, it is really good, and not enough people are talking about Kotaro Lives Alone. It's so sweet. Like, it's one of the best animes I've seen on on Netflix, in a while. I mean, there's a lot of good shows on Crunchyroll, and I've made videos on them. But no, for Netflix, there's a few others that I really like on Netflix, and they have been doing a lot better recently at their own original shows being a lot like higher quality and less CGI. So again, Kotaro Lives Alone seems to have been slept on by a lot of people, but you really shouldn't sleep on it. You need to go, you need to watch it. It is amazing. Kotaro is like the sweetest little bean, and he is like, must be protected. He is a little adorable cinnamon bun, and I want one. I want me a Kotaro. Like the music in it's really good. I wasn't too fussed on the opening. Well, I think I like the ending more. I can't really remember, because like with Netflix it kind of gives you the option to skip the openings and the endings, and I kind of do that because I'm just like, give me the story. I'm terrible for that, unless like this, I find it really gripping. So like the ending for Kokyu no Karasu, I always watch the ending for that, and I actually have it on my Spotify, and I always listen to it because I'm addicted to that song. But no, for Kotaro Lives Alone, I wasn't too sure on the opening and the ending. But the story itself, it's just great. And then you get to the end of it and you're like, I need more of this. Why is there not more? But I like as well how it's highlighting that a lot of abuse happens in Japan, and it's just not talked about. So there is like a storyline for a domestic abuse relationship, and it's very hush hush and very, you know, kind of like, like the girl who's in the relationship kind of laughs it off a bit, and then Kotaro is like, no, this is not okay, I will not stand for this. And he helps her. And, you know, you've got Shin, the next door neighbour, who's a bit lazy and is very, like, devil may care, kind of, whatever. And then through meeting Kotaro, he starts to come out of himself. He starts to care more. He starts to be like, I need to get my act together and I need to start working properly. And even the Yakuza guy, he starts trying more with his own son, and Kotaro is like, don't use me as a scapegoat, go and see your son and be a father to him. And that's really nice. And it's just, I mean, it gives me Violet Evergarden vibes at points of just, it's not necessarily always Kotaro's story in the show, but it's how he himself helps others with their stories. And that for me, it was so sweet. And like, when I started it, I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to like this. It's about a little 4 or 5 year old. How was this going to be any good, kind of thing, for an adult audience to enjoy? This is going to be like a little kids thing. And I sat down and I watched it and I was like, damn, this is great for adults and it's great for children, because it covers topics that, in a way that it's, how to word it, it's very well done in the sense of kids could watch it and some of the themes could go over their head, but the adults will still enjoy it. Or it could be that there's a child watching it who might be in the same situation and be like, okay, this isn't normal, I might need to tell someone about this, you know, which is a huge thing. And I found it really interesting to watch, because I think we need more shows like that. So, you know, that deal with really serious, quite heavy topics, but in a way where children can still enjoy it and watch it and be like, oh, if I'm in this situation, damn, this isn't normal, I might need to get out, or, you know, I need to tell my mum to get out, or I need to tell my dad to get out, because men can also be victims of domestic abuse. And I think it's very valid for those men that get up and leave, because sometimes with the domestic abuse with men, it's not the physical side of it that's scary, it's the mental side of it, you know. These women use words like blades and daggers, and they're horrible to their partners, and they leave them feeling like a shell of themselves. And sometimes they're also domestically violent, because it's like, oh, if you fight back, I'm going to tell them you got beaten up by a girl. Toxic masculinity things. So yeah, men get abused too. We need to recognise that, and we need to not laugh in their faces. Women especially as well are abused, and they need more safe spaces, and they need less people to be like, oh, well, he's nice to me, how could he be awful to you, you know. So yes, abuse is abuse regardless of gender. And little Kotaro as well, like, it's the children in the middle that are the, you know, and that is highlighted. Poor Kotaro is abused in ways that he doesn't even realise, and then as he's living alone and he's living with the, like, interacting with the other members of the living community, he starts to realise, you know, oh, I'm safe now, I don't have to be so scared, I'm okay, kind of thing. But he still does look over his shoulder a little bit, as with the private detective guy that turns up, which is, anyway. I love it so much. I don't know. I can't say enough in words how amazing the show is. You really need to just watch it to understand it. Now, again, it's not going to be for everybody. I'm starting to realise I have a thing for watching shows where they make me laugh, they make me cry, they break my heart. It's easy enough to watch. You can watch it in a day. Or you can space it out over a couple of days if you prefer to watch it like that. I found it really gripping. It might not be for everybody. As I said, these videos are just for me to kind of ramble about what I've enjoyed or what I haven't enjoyed about a show. But yeah, you can find it on Netflix. There's a manga for it as well. I'm not sure if that's translated yet. I'll find out. I might read the manga if it is, and then do a video on that. Who knows? But yeah, like, comment down below who your favourite character is if you've seen Kotaro, if you haven't seen Kotaro and you go to watch it because of this video, tell me what you thought of it down below as well. I always like to hear if you guys have gone and seen something due to my own recommendations or not. Because yeah, these little videos are just fun. I watch a show, I ramble, you know. I enjoy rambling to you guys. It might seem silly, but I find it fun and it's comforting and it's just therapeutic. So I do apologise if you don't like my ramblings. Let me know if you don't like my ramblings, if you do like my ramblings. You know, discussion. I like to talk to people. But yeah, other than that, my kittens, I'm going to send you much love. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Remember, eat something, drink something. If you have any tablets to take, please remember to take them. Look after yourselves, my darlings, and I will see you next time. Jolly!